Can't make this shit up, bro.
I'm a righteous wrangler. He has practiced me too.
Well, there's something secretly happening in prisons right now that's turning young grown inmates into mindless disturbing zombies. I'm talking about an underground drug so lethal that, to be honest, one small hit can put you in a lifelong coma. I'm not even kidding. It's so unpredictable that inmates are literally playing Russian roulette every time they use it. And it's everywhere, from county jails to maximum security facilities. Inmates hate using it because of the disgusting after effects, but they can't imagine their life without it. This drug is called, which has turned even the toughest inmates into zombies, caused mass overdoses in entire cell blocks, and the scariest part? Nobody knows what's actually in it from batch to batch. Just take a look at this miserable clip.
Look. Hey.
He dead. His ass in the bed, dead.
Chico.
He threw.
Chico. Wake up, Chico. Chico.
Ow! Look at that nigga, man. She ain't got no front top teeth in him, huh? That boy a donkey. That boy a donkey. That boy in his head all type of shit.
Now, here's something that's going to shock you about this drug. And I need you to really understand this, because it's not like any other drug you've heard about. When most people think about prison drugs, they picture inmates getting high and maybe causing some trouble. But this stuff, it doesn't just get you high. It literally rewrites your brain chemistry in real time. And the scariest part? Nobody, not the inmates, not the guards, not even the doctors, knows what's going to happen when someone takes a hit. The effects of this drug are so unpredictable that medical staff have started calling it chemical Russian roulette. One batch might make you feel relaxed. The next batch from the same supplier, it could put you in a coma for 3 days. Let me paint you a picture of what this actually looks like. Imagine walking into a cell block and seeing grown men, guys who've survived gang wars and prison riots, collapsed on the floor, making sounds that aren't even human. Their eyes are rolled back, they're drooling, and they're completely unresponsive. In one facility in Pennsylvania, guards found 12 inmates in this exact state within a 2-hour window. 12 guys who had no idea they were about to become vegetables when they lit up that morning. And here's the part that's gonna mess with your head. Some of these guys never fully recover. I'm talking about permanent brain damage from one bad batch. Inmates who were sharp, street-smart survivors turned into people who can't even remember their own names. But those individual cases? That's just the tip of the iceberg. What I'm about to tell you next is going to show you just how out of control this situation really is. When an entire prison goes into lockdown because of a drug incident, that's not just an inmate problem anymore. That's a public safety crisis. And it's happening more often than you think. We're talking about mass casualty events. Not fights, not riots. Mass overdoses that shut down entire facilities and send dozens of people to the hospital. Once, Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, 2018. 33 inmates overdosed on this drug in one day. Facility had to call in emergency medical teams from 3 different hospitals just to handle the chaos. But here's what really gets me. Inmates who are still conscious during these mass overdose events, they're watching their cellmates drop like flies, knowing they might be next, but they can't stop themselves from using it. Think about that for a second. You're watching people around you literally dying from something, and you still can't resist taking your turn. So what exactly is this stuff that's causing all this chaos? Because when I started researching K2, what I found was way more disturbing than I expected. Here's why understanding K2 is so important. It's not actually one drug. It's hundreds of different chemicals that keep changing, which means every time someone uses it, they're basically volunteering to be a test subject for some unknown substance. K2, also called spice, is what they call a synthetic cannabinoid. But calling it synthetic marijuana is like calling a hand grenade a loud firecracker. The only thing it has in common with weed is that it might make you feel different. Here's how it actually works. Drug manufacturers take random chemicals, and I mean random, sometimes industrial chemicals never meant for human consumption, and they spray them onto paper or plant material. The problem? These manufacturers aren't chemists. They're not following any safety protocols. They're literally mixing whatever chemicals they can get their hands on and seeing what happens when people smoke it. One batch that was tested in New York contained rat poison. Actual rat poison. And inmates were smoking it, not knowing they were literally poisoning themselves with every hit. But here's the really crazy part about how this stuff gets inside prisons in the first place.
Hey, throw that shit up one time. Throw your gang up one time. Real, where you from? Where you from? Throw your shit up.
The methods people are using to smuggle K2 into prisons are so creative. They're basically revolutionizing the entire game of prison contraband. Traditional drug smuggling in prison relied on hiding physical substances, pills in body cavities, powder in shoe soles, that kind of thing. But K2 changed everything because it can be completely invisible. Remember how I said K2 gets sprayed onto paper? Well, that means any piece of paper coming into a prison could potentially be a drug delivery system. Legal documents, letters from family, even religious materials. Here's how sophisticated this has gotten. Inmates' family members are taking regular letters, soaking them in liquid K2, and letting them dry.
Hey, with that Tunch, man, they be undefeated, man. Live, man. Live in that bitch. I'm talking about going live, man. Look at this nigga. Look at him. Where you from, nigga?
To a guard doing mail inspection, it looks like a normal letter from mom. Gets worse. Some facilities have found K2 sprayed on children's drawings, birthday cards, even legal mail from attorneys. The drug dealers know that guards are less likely to thoroughly inspect certain types of mail. But the most disturbing method I've heard about? Inmates are paying people on the outside to spray K2 on book pages, then mail them books. One book can contain enough K2 to supply an entire prison for weeks. Which brings us to the question that's probably been bugging you this whole time. This is the part that's going to mess with your head, because it reveals something about human psychology that most people don't want to admit. Understanding, but they keep using it anyway. Here's what inmates have told me about why they keep using K2, even though they hate it. First, it's the only escape available. When you're locked in a concrete box for 23 hours a day, even a terrible escape feels better than no escape at all. And this is the really dark part. Some inmates use K2 specifically because it might kill them. They'd rather risk death than face another day in their current situation. But the biggest reason? Addiction to K2 happens faster and hits harder than almost any other substance. Inmates report being hooked after just 2 or 3 uses. And once you're addicted to K2, the withdrawal is so brutal that using it again feels like the only option. One inmate told me, "I'd rather spend 3 days as a zombie than 1 more day fully aware of where I am." That's the reality we're dealing with. And until we understand that, we'll never solve this crisis. Now here's what really pisses me off about this whole situation. The system is completely failing, and they know it. Prison administrators are trying to fight a 21st century problem with 20th century solutions. They're still doing the same old searches, the same old mail inspections, while inmates are literally getting high-off legal documents that look completely normal to testing equipment. Most prisons use can't even detect half the chemicals in K2 because they keep changing the formula. By the time labs figure out what's in one batch, the manufacturers have already switched to completely different chemicals. Here's the kicker. Even when guards catch someone with K2, the legal system doesn't know how to handle it. because it's technically not marijuana. And the specific chemicals change so fast, prosecutors struggle to even charge people properly. Meanwhile, medical staff in prisons aren't trained to deal with synthetic drug overdoses. They're treating K2 overdoses like regular drug overdoses, which is why so many inmates are ending up with permanent brain damage.
This is another case, some motherfucking
You got that bag
K2.
of trash in your hand.
But here's the thing. There's actually a solution that could fix most of this overnight. And it's so simple that I can't believe more people aren't talking about it. Portugal figured this out 20 years ago. Instead of treating drug addiction as a criminal problem, they started treating it as a health problem. And guess what happened? Drug-related deaths dropped by 95%. Here's what we need to do in prisons. Stop punishing inmates for using K2 and start treating them for addiction. Set up proper medical detox programs. Get real addiction counselors in there. And give people something to do besides sit in a cell all day thinking about getting high. The inmates I've talked to don't want to be zombies. They want hope. They want something to look forward to. But when your only options are staring at a wall or risking your life with K2, what do you think most people are going to choose? If we invested half the money we spend on searching for drugs into actual addiction treatment and mental health programs, this crisis would be over in 2 years. But until someone with real power decides that saving lives is more important than looking tough on crime, inmates are going to keep playing Russian roulette with their brains, and we're all going to keep pretending like there's nothing we can do about it.
You got all of it. Yeah, you like a catfish. Hey, man. Oh, no. You got both of them coming too now. Blue. Stay home.